delicious is what it is. I call this a cranberry chocolate cricket smoothie. You can call it whatever you want though. Hey guys, Shelby Smith with Jim & Eat Crickets. Today I am going to share the recipe for my absolute favorite cricket powder smoothie that I have made to date. So I spent the month of November of 2020 eating 2 servings of crickets every single day for 30 days. Well, it truly turned into about 26 days of eating crickets as I ended up with a really bad stomach flu 2 days after Thanksgiving and proceeded to not eat anything for the final 4 days of November. So majority of the time I did, but of those 26 days, 20 of them were this smoothie. Part of it is because it was seasonal, part of it is because it is just absolutely my favorite. So now at this point, you might be wondering, why would I want to add cricket powder to my smoothie? Why would I want to add crickets to anything? What are the benefits of eating crickets? So cricket powder itself is about 64% protein. So it's double the protein of beef, has more iron than spinach, more calcium than milk, vitamin B12, has omega-6s and omega-3s, prebiotic fiber, all sorts of good macro and micronutrients in this wonderful powder that is very light and non-offensive in flavor is the way that I would describe it. The way I like to relate cricket powder to customers is think of it like a high protein flax meal. It's something that you can add to just about everything and raise the nutritional profile, but you're not going to impact the flavor a whole lot. That being said, it's never something that you're really going to take a spoonful of, throw it in your mouth, and be like, this is absolutely delicious. So it needs to be mixed into something, but ends up blending very well in many different things. The best way that I can describe what it does to a smoothie is it adds a light malty taste. It does have a flavor, slightly earthy, but again, mixes really well with chocolates, peanut butters, all sorts of things like that, and adds a little bit of a malty flavor. So if you, like me, were a fan of cherry malts growing up, I think you'll probably like this. So a typical serving size of cricket powder is 2 tablespoons or 12 grams. Usually what I do in my smoothies though is I add 1/4 cup as opposed to 2 tablespoons, so that is technically 2 servings. I just like all the benefits it brings, and it just gives me a little bit of extra protein punch. So 2 servings has about 16 grams protein as opposed to 1 serving, which has 8. Personal preference. You can do either one, or you can do somewhere in between. The world is yours. So there's only a few simple ingredients that you need to make this, and some of them might be seasonal. And by some of them, I mean the fresh cranberries. Technically though, you could probably do these frozen if you have some in the freezer that you have purchased either earlier in the year, or I think they sell frozen cranberries, don't they? Anyway, you'll need some cranberries. You will need some cricket powder, obviously. You will need some unsweetened baking cocoa. You will need some sweetener. Here's what I use. So it's whole earth. I use 2 of these packets for the sweetener of this. And you will need your milk of choice. I just use dairy milk because I don't have any dairy intolerances. But coconut milk works well. I've used that before. Almond milk would work. Oat milk would work. Just some sort of milk for the blending process. The only other thing that you'll need that I don't have shown here yet is ice. If you are not using frozen cranberries, if you're using fresh like me, you will need some ice, assuming that you want a cold smoothie. We're not making soup. So the blender I use is a Ninja. I start with about, it looks like 8 ounces of ice. You can do more, you can do less. Just know that if you do more, you're going to need more liquid. Otherwise, you're going to cause your blender some problems and it's going to end up being too thick. Then I add about a cup of the fresh cranberries. And again, you could totally use frozen if you don't have access to fresh, depending on what season it is. Here's a little challenge for you. If you've never had a fresh cranberry, they are supposed to like pop, like they make quite a loud crunching sound. See if you can eat one. If you like tart things, see if you can eat one and keep a straight face. That pop, they are pretty tart. But for me, I like tart things, and apparently because I like to eat weird things, I'm unfazed. So some cranberry growers have told me. Next up, I add about a heaping tablespoon of the unsweetened cocoa powder. You can keep it at just a level tablespoon if you want. You can do a heaping, or if you like it way chocolatier, do 2 of these tablespoons of the cocoa powder. I add my 2 packets of sweetener. If you like it sweeter and less tart, you may need to add more. You can use other things too, like honey, sugar, whatever you want to use as a sweetener, but these are a mix of stevia and monk fruit. So next up, I add a 1/4 cup of the cricket powder. So the serving size is actually 2 tablespoons, which is technically 1/8 cup, but I always go with double the amount because I just like protein, like the benefits. So 1/4 cup of the cricket powder, but again, you can do 2 tablespoons if you would only like to do 1 serving. And this last part is the most art and least science of it all. You add the milk, and I always like to add it so that it's about, looks kind of like that. And that's because with the ice, I want to make sure that there's enough liquid there for it to blend smoothly. Sometimes I don't get it right, and sometimes I have to stop the blending and add a little more. Sometimes I just add water. I'll probably just add water to this if it's not enough. So the milk, whatever you're going to use for milk, it's the last step. And then it's blending time. I think for once I actually got the liquid level just about perfect. So there you have it. Thick, but not too thick. The final product is light, sweet, tart, tiny bit of chocolate. It really is my favorite. Absolutely delicious. A little bit of a malty taste. That's one thing that cricket powder does add to smoothies, is a slightly malty taste. So you're definitely going to want to try this one out. Thanks so much for watching. If you guys end up trying out this recipe, please let me know what you think. And for more information about our products, including things like our cricket powder, please head over to www.jimandeatcrickets.com. As always, consider like, subscribe, share, all of the things. Thanks for being here.